Hi, I'm Jenny, and my bear pal is Jelly Belly, who likes to listen to stories. And there's a cat in the house of that tower up there, Grace, black cat, older cat. And we're reading about the wild women of Lake Anna and are on chapter 17. And I think I'm going to start reading 3 chapters at a time just so that we get more story in. So, chapter 17 is called The Hat in the Attic. It's a whole different idea, isn't it? Florida girl, I think you need to sit in the back of the bus with me and my friends and tell us about yourself, said Justin, hissing softly so the bus driver wouldn't hear the nastiness in his voice. Come on back. We want to know what happened to your mama and your daddy. Bailey looked out the window, pretending not to hear him. Justin moved to the seat behind her for the ride home from school. He wouldn't let up. Bailey Fish, I think you need to tell us where you got your name. Come sit in the back with us, Miss Minnie Mouse from Florida. The boys in the back seat laughed when he turned around and made mouse ears with his hands on the side of his head. Emily whispered, He's getting meaner and meaner to you. Have you said anything to your grandmother? Maybe she can make him stop bothering you. Bailey shook her head and stared out the window. Justin finally returned to his friends. She could hear them chanting, Bailey Fish, Bailey Fish, Bailey Fish. Where's your mama, Bailey Fish? She was very relieved when the yellow bus slowed down to let him off. At the next stop, Bailey grabbed her books and bolted down the bus steps. Was Emily right? Should she say something to Sugar? No. Sugar seemed like she had enough on her mind lately. Bailey unlocked the door and went in. The house was empty. She had forgotten that Sugar had a dental appointment in town. Before she started on her homework, she looked at the pictures of the wild women. Would they have let someone like Justin scare them or make them cry? Nope. She was sure of it. She wondered when they knew they were wild women, and when they had their first adventures. Was May planning to be a spy when she was 11? Maybe Sugar would know. She knew a lot of stories. Bailey looked in the mirror and practiced having a faraway look in her eyes and smiling like the wild women. Then she remembered the hat. Sugar had told her that May's feathered hat was in a round red hat box in the attic. That shouldn't be too hard to find. Bailey got a stool and reached for the long, thin rope used to pull down the attic ladder. The steps creaked as they unfolded. Don't come up here, she said firmly to Shadow and Sally. Their faces were full of curiosity, and she could tell they wanted to follow her. When Bailey reached the top, she pulled on another long string to turn on the attic light that barely lit the large, unfinished room. She saw several mouse traps, numerous cardboard boxes, 3 rusty file cabinets, 2 old trunks, a rack of Sugar's summer clothes, picture frames, a full-length oval mirror on a wooden stand, a medium-sized carton with the words Molly's Letters written on it, and a round red hat box, just like Sugar had described. And here's a picture. Whoever did the drawings here is really great. These are good pictures. Bailey untied the silky black string that held the lid on and opened it. Inside was May's dark green felt hat with a short black feather. Bailey carefully lifted it out and put it on her head. She walked over to the mirror and studied herself. I do look like a wild woman, she said quietly, as she turned her head from side to side. A spy. Still wearing the hat, she picked up the box of her mother's letters. She was about to open it when she heard Sugar's truck coming up the gravel driveway. She knocked on the attic window and waved to her grandmother as she got out of the pickup. Before Sugar joined her in the attic, Shadow and Sally decided to make the climb. They raced around, exploring all the corners and boxes. Their whiskers and tails were covered with cobwebs and dust. "So you found May's hat," said Sugar. "Looks good on you, even if it does come down over your ears. Give it a few years and you'll fit into it." "Does that mean I can have it someday?" asked Bailey, hardly daring to believe it. "I can't think of a better person to inherit the hat," said Sugar. "I'll take your picture in it and we'll send a copy to your mother." "Sugar, how come you have a box that says Molly's letters?" asked Bailey. "Wild women tend to save things. We save letters. Before everyone had email and used the phone so much, people wrote long letters that explained what was going on in their lives," said Sugar. "I have lots of boxes of family letters and stuff." "Did my mother write about me?" "Sure did. She told me about every tooth you cut, when you said your first word, and when you started crawling." Feeling bold with May's hat on her head, Bailey asked, "What about my dad? What did she say about him?" Sugar sat down on one of the trunks. "What has your mom told you?" Bailey said, "Not much, only that he left us when I was really little." Sugar looked thoughtful. She was quiet for a moment, then said, "I guess there's no harm in telling. Your mom and dad married when they were pretty young. They didn't really have a chance to know each other. Your mother wasn't ready to stay home and do housework. She wanted to travel and to have an exciting career. He wanted her to stay home. They had some pretty big fights. Your dad, Paul Fish, joined the Navy. Shortly after he left, your mother found out that she was going to have a baby, you. Meanwhile, he met another woman and asked your mom for a divorce." "Did he ever see me?" asked Bailey. "Just once, I think. He sent money for a while, but then nobody heard from him anymore. Your mother thinks he has a new family and they may be living overseas," said Sugar. "I haven't heard anything about him in years." "Oh," said Bailey. Her mother would never talk about him at all. At least now she knew something. "Do you have a picture of him?" "I might, somewhere, but now it's time to fix supper. What will it be tonight, hamburgers or hamburgers?" "How about hamburgers?" said Bailey with a smile. She studied herself in the mirror one more time, then carefully placed May's hat back in its box. And this is called Milk Toast for Courage. "I'm asking for 11 volunteers," said Mrs. Dudley, "to help some of the younger children with reading. We'll pair you up with first and second graders who need extra attention. It's sort of a buddy system. You'll get together during lunch hour a couple times a week. Anyone interested?" 10 hands went up. Mrs. Dudley looked around the class. "Bailey, I'd really like to put your name on my list," said Mrs. Dudley. "You are one of our best readers." "Okay," said Bailey. She had hesitated at first because she was still hoping that her mother would call and she would be going home before the school year was up. But deep down, she knew that wasn't likely to happen. "Thank you all," said Mrs. Dudley, writing down the volunteers' names. "I will be talking later today with Miss Moore, and we'll get you all started by Friday." "Maybe I'll get someone cute like Howie," thought Bailey. Although her friends, who had younger brothers and sisters, always acted like they were a big bother, Bailey didn't think so. She thought they were lucky to have a bigger family and not be an only child. Even though Emily often complained that Howie was a brat, Bailey knew she liked him a lot. Bailey was daydreaming about what her reading buddy would be like when she realized that Mrs. Dudley was calling her name. Bailey, where are you, Bailey?" "Sorry," said Bailey, blushing as the boys behind her laughed. "I need to see you and the other reading volunteers just before school is out. By then I will have the names for each of you, and I'll tell you more about what you will be doing." Bailey nodded to show that she was paying attention this time. At the meeting, Mrs. Dudley said that their job was very simple. They would take turns reading to give the little buddies more practice and to help show them what fun books can be. You can get some of your favorite picture books from the library, or encourage them to bring a reading book to lunch, the teacher said. Then she went down the list of names. Because she was so new to the school, Bailey really didn't know any of the kids she mentioned. Then it was her turn. "Bailey, I've assigned you to Fern Rudd," said Mrs. Dudley. "She's a very sweet child and very shy. She needs a lot of special attention." "Oh, no," Bailey gasped. "What's the matter?" asked Mrs. Dudley. "Nothing," said Bailey. "How can I be involved with Justin's little sister? They'll kill me. Maybe I can get out of it. I just won't go to school tomorrow. I'll be sick," she thought. "I'll have the flu. I'll pretend to puke. Sugar will have to let me stay home." "Bailey, you look worried. I know you'll do a good job, and you just might make a difference. Fern really needs extra help if she's going to get into second grade next year. I'm sure she's looking forward to meeting you tomorrow," Mrs. Dudley said. By supper time, Bailey really was feeling sick. Sugar said, "Tell you what, I'm going to make you a special meal guaranteed to make you feel better. It is something all the wild women ate when they needed to be brave, strong, and well. Milk toast." "What's that?" asked Bailey as she curled up on the couch. "Nice hot milk poured over toast. A little dab of butter. I think I'll have some too." Bailey was surprised at how good the milk toast tasted and that her stomach no longer felt fluttery. As they were doing the dishes, she said, "Sugar, did you ever have to do something in school that you didn't want to do?" "Lots of times. What's up?" "Oh, nothing. I signed up to be a reading buddy, but I don't think I want to do it." Sugar said, "Why not give it a try? And if you really don't like it, then I won't expect you to continue. But you really won't know unless you try. Every day's a new adventure, you know," said Sugar. Later, as Bailey looked at the pictures of the wild women, she knew they wouldn't have quit before they even started. "Okay, I'll try," she said to Shadow and Sally. We'll do one more chapter. This is chapter 19, and it's called Reading with Fern. Bailey was no longer surprised that Sugar had exactly the things she needed somewhere in her house or attic. After they had mopped up the last piece of milk toast from the bowls that didn't match, she told Bailey to follow her into the library, where she just happened to have books that first and second graders might like. "I picked them up on treasure hunts," said Sugar. "You just never know when a little child might come to visit. I like to have things on hand for everyone. I also have a toy box in the attic. Some of the toys are ones you played with when you were a little kid," she said. Bailey barely remembered those visits with Sugar when Grandpa was alive, even though her mother gave her a picture of him smiling and carrying her piggyback. "Here are some good ones," said Sugar. "I like this one, Mrs. Rabbit's Lovely Present, and this book of fairy tales, and here's one about kittens." As she got ready for school, Bailey put the books in her pink backpack. Her heart was pounding at the bus stop. What if Justin knows? What will he say about it? Then the picture of May flashed before her eyes. May would be tough. She wished she could be like May. To her relief, Justin wasn't on the bus. "Lucky me," thought Bailey. When it was time for the first graders to have lunch, Bailey was excused to go to the cafeteria. Miss Moore was waiting for the 5th grade volunteers. One by one, the older children were introduced to their reading buddies. Bailey held her sack lunch and the picture books as Miss Moore, a plump, kind-looking older woman with her hair pulled up in a bun, led Bailey over to a small blonde girl with the bluest eyes Bailey had ever seen. "This is Fern." Bailey said, "Hi, I'm Bailey, and I have some books. Why don't you choose one that we can read together?" Fern looked down and picked at her green beans and burger. "Drats," thought Bailey. "She doesn't like me. What do I do now?" She decided to sit down and open her lunch anyway, rather than go back to the classroom. After a few minutes, Fern said, "I'm not very good. I make a lot of mistakes. My dad says I'm dumber than dumb." Bailey's heart melted. "We're not going to worry about mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes when I was learning to read. We're just going to read for fun. Hey, since this is just our first day, you pick a book and I'll read it to you. All you have to do is turn the pages. Then next time you can read a little to me." Fern smiled and pointed to Mr. Rabbit and the lovely present. She moved her tray closer to Bailey and said, "Let me try." Bailey listened to her read, helping the younger child when she stumbled over a word. "I wish I could give my mother a lovely present," said Fern as they looked at the pictures. "Maybe you could draw something special for her sometime," said Bailey. "How did it go today?" Sugar asked as she put some vanilla ice cream on the fudge brownies excuse me, she had just baked from a mix. They smelled good, but as usual, the brownies were burned around the edges by the time Sugar remembered they were in the oven. "Just scrape off the crispy parts," she said. "Pretty good. I think my buddy can read better than she thinks. She just doesn't think she can," said Bailey. "Maybe she needs some milk toast for bravery," said Sugar. "What's her name? Maybe I know the family." "I think you do. Fern Rudd." "Very interesting," said Sugar. She was quiet for a few minutes and then said, "I'm sure she needs your help a lot. I'm extra proud of you. The weather is supposed to be pretty good tomorrow. How about another boat ride? It's time to take more samples from the creek." Then she added, "If you would like to ask Emily to join us, we could pick her up on the way to the ramp." As Sugar sat down in her chair, Bailey thought she saw that face in the window again. It glared at Sugar, then at her, before vanishing. "I must be making it up," thought Bailey, as she took the last bite of brownie. "It's probably just a tree branch that looks like a man." Okay, good.